Afternoon. Wanted to make a second video on our second planter box of Yukon Gold potatoes. We picked this box this morning. I made a video of that harvest out of that box, and went ahead and did this box today to get it down and maybe get some beets planted. But here's the remnants of these potatoes. These boxes are a little under 4 feet wide and 7 feet long, and we was able to get 4 rows of 4 plants. And here, well, there's the second bag of leaves, potato leaves. I don't throw these back in my garden. These leaves are full of blight. Some people compost them down. I never do that. So all this will go in the garbage. And here's the leaves that I use for mulch on top of the plants. And just like the first box here, I planted these Yukon Golds in 3rd week of March, the seed potatoes, and I buried them 8 inches deep. But what I found when I picked these potatoes was a lot of the potatoes was almost up to the top of the soil. So might get away with 6 inches deep, because they're a determinate potato. They don't grow up the stalk. As you can keep adding soil along these potatoes, but they're only going to grow in a certain spot. And I noticed from the seed potato where I planted it, they grew up about 4 inches, and that was it. They stopped growing, which was, I don't know, 4 inches more, and you're at the top of the dirt anyway. So, and another thing I noticed was this box that I amended with a bale of Pro Mix and a bale of peat moss, and this box was amended with a bale of Pro Mix and a bale of peat moss. But for some reason, this box was a lot more harder soil and compacted. I almost couldn't dig it by hand. I dug this one by hand because Yukon Gold potatoes are a really soft skinned potato, and it's easy to knock the skins right off of them. I did a couple of them with my fingernails, and this one I almost had to get my little hand spade out because the dirt was so compacted. And I think that may have been the reason that the harvest in that second box wasn't quite as good as the harvest in the first box. And as you can see, as I took the potato plant out of the ground and got the potatoes off of it, I laid them in order as to how they come out. So on an average, we're averaging 4 to 6 potatoes per plant. And I think I would have done a lot better had I have put maybe a couple of more bales of either Pro Mix or peat moss in the second box, because it was a lot more compacted soil. Now these potatoes still look great. They're just a little smaller and not quite as many. We've got probably 75 potatoes there, and we had I think 72, 73 potatoes in the first box, but they were bigger, and I didn't count the small ones, and this one I did. So less yield, smaller potatoes, but I went ahead and weighed the bucket of potatoes the best I could with what I have. I was using bathroom scales in my bucket, and I took 2 pounds off for the bucket, but I was at 20, almost 23 pounds for the first bucket. So you take the 3 pounds off. I know a bucket don't weigh 3 pounds, but we'll just say 3 pounds. And I got about 20 pounds out of this first box. So we're going to be close to that, probably 15 to 18 pounds out of this. It don't look it. I didn't think that it was going to be that much when I weighed the bucket, but it surprised me. So if we get 35 to 40 pounds out of 2 planter boxes, I'm happy with that. These are all seed potatoes that we, off of our Yukon Gold potatoes we planted last year. So I don't have anything in the potatoes. I got less than $5 in the fertilizer for both boxes. And I think I've got like $10 in the bales of Pro Mix and the $10 for the bales of peat moss. Well, not even, because I think I paid less than, I think $8 and something for a bale of 2 cubic foot bale of peat moss, which it went up this year, so I got little money in it. But the enjoyment of growing our own and having it be all organic. You know, the stuff you buy at the supermarket, it's a little cheaper, but it's not organic. Most of the shops we shop at, you don't know what it's been sprayed with. I don't use pesticides and I don't use fungicides. I did spray them with a little bit of baking soda and water to try to help with the potato blight, because here in Indiana we get potato blight, and this variety, I like a Yukon Gold yellow potato, and it seems to not weather the blight as well as the let me see, this baby Dutch. They're still beautiful and green. We've got just a touch of blight coming on now, if you can see that right there, but not like those Yukon Golds. And if we get a better harvest out of these than those, I may even switch over to these guys. But I like my Yukon Golds, and I'll probably always plant a few of those every year. Here's something interesting. All these seed potatoes here were rotten or soft. I can't say rotten. None of them stunk. But I've got, you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seed potatoes down there that's still rock solid and hard. And I've never tried to use a used seed potato, so I might try a little experiment. And I'm going to put some beets in this box, but maybe down here at this end I might replant those seed potatoes since they're not soft, and see if they'll grow again. It might not be worth the effort, but it just might. So it's hard for me to throw them in the trash, which I probably should. I don't know if it'll get more disease by reusing them. Very likely. And I don't know if they'll grow a potato before they rot, which is very likely. But I'm going to try it, because they're pretty nice looking and they're still rock solid hard. And I think if I do a row on this end, I ain't hurting nothing. I probably won't even put any fertilizer in there. This is just to see. But there you go. Anybody can do it. I actually think that I've done better harvest out of 5-gallon buckets. The potatoes might not be as big, but I was getting a little more potatoes, and it was so much easier to harvest them. All you have to do is dump the bucket over. Now, with the buckets, you do have to water a little more than these. I only watered both of these planter boxes twice this year. We've had a lot of rain in the early spring, and then no rain this summer and fall, and it's not even hitting summer yet here, and we're 95s, which is unusual. So my water barrels, I've been emptying them, watering everything else I have. Everything else took precedence over the potatoes, especially when these are 90 to 100 day potatoes and they was going to finish up anyway. So if you got a little extra space, get you some Yukon Gold potatoes. They're easy to grow. They're a delicious potato. And you can even grow these things in a 5-gallon bucket, and a 2 to 3 gallon pot, which is what I have here. These little pots, these potatoes were planted about the same time as those planter boxes, so I'll be harvesting these, and they're still a little greener, and they're not as full of blight as the ones in the box. So I'm going to let these go probably till the end of the month, 10 more days, and I'll pull these and I'll make a video on what kind of yield I get out of I think it's a 2 to 3 gallon pot. They're tiny little pots. And then we'll make a video on the yield coming out of these 5-gallon buckets. There you go. Anybody can do it. And when you grow your own, they taste better and they're better for you. No pesticides, no herbicides, all organic. And we'll be canning these up and cooking them fresh and saving some for seed potatoes next year. So there's our second harvest, and we'll do some videos on the containers next. Thanks for watching.